All right, so today we are going big. We're diving headfirst into the deepest questions humanity has ever dared to ask about, well, everything. We're talking about the big one, theories of everything. These are the questions that have kept philosophers, scientists, and probably you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. for basically all of human history. They're the reason we have science, the reason we have religion. So let's explore some of the most mind-blowing answers people have come up with. Let's start right at the beginning, shall we? The origin story. Where did all this incredible, complex, messy thing we call life actually come from?
On this, you've got two foundational views that really couldn't be more different. On one side, you have creationism, the idea that all life is the work of a divine creator, that everything from you and me to the smallest microbe was intentionally willed into existence. And on the other side, you have evolution, the scientific theory that life bubbled up from natural processes, slowly changing over millions of years, with species adapting to survive. Kind of like Darwin's famous finches getting the exact right beak for the job.
But what if the answer isn't on Earth at all? Get this. The theory of panspermia suggests that life is actually extraterrestrial. The idea is that billions of years ago, our planet was just a sterile rock, and then a comet or an asteroid, acting like a cosmic delivery drone, crashed here carrying microscopic life from somewhere else in the universe, seeding our world and kicking off the whole evolutionary party. Okay, now for a really cool potential origin story that did happen on Earth. Picture this. Deep down on the ocean floor, you've got these hydrothermal vents, basically underwater volcanoes just spewing out a hot, chemical-rich soup. The hydrothermal vent hypothesis says these vents created the perfect little energy-filled cradle, like a mineral womb, where all the right chemicals and minerals can mix and react, eventually, against all odds, forming the very first self-replicating organisms. So we've got a few theories about where we came from, but that just leads to an even weirder, more fundamental question. Is any of this, real? Are you real? Am I real? This is where things get truly mind-bending. And that brings us to simulation theory. The core idea is pretty simple, actually. If any civilization gets technologically advanced enough, they'll eventually be able to create computer simulations that are completely indistinguishable from reality. So if that's possible, how do we know we're not in one right now? We could be living inside the most complex video game ever created, and we'd have no idea. So how would we even know, right? Well, proponents say maybe we should look for glitches in the matrix. You ever get that intense feeling of déjà vu? Maybe it's just the system lagging for a second. Or what about when you lose your keys? You search everywhere, and then they just reappear in a place you already looked. Perhaps that's just a programmer fixing a tiny bug in the code of your apartment. From our origins to our reality, the next logical stop on this tour is a little dark. How does it all end? Because whether we're in a simulation or a physical universe, one thing's for sure, it's not going to last forever. So let's take a quick look at some of the top doomsday scenarios. First up, a threat that is 100% our own fault. As of right now, there are 13,080 nuclear warheads on this planet. It would only take a tiny fraction of those to change everything. And the potential human cost, it's just staggering. Not over years of fallout and nuclear winter, but on day one, 3.8 billion people. As the source material grimly points out, the lucky ones would be those who go instantly in the initial blast. Now, even if we manage not to blow ourselves up, the cosmos is always out there. We know for a fact that a giant rock from space can cause a global extinction. It happened to the dinosaurs. And it's really not a question of if another big one is on a collision course with us, but when. But honestly, maybe the most terrifying way it could end is something we would never, ever see coming. A gamma-ray burst. It's basically an invisible death ray from a collapsing star, a beam of radiation traveling at the speed of light. It could hit us with zero warning, flash fry our atmosphere, and sterilize the entire planet in seconds. Game over. So whether it all ends with a bang or a whimper, what happens to us, to our consciousness? This brings us to the final and maybe the most personal question of them all. A lot of belief systems boil it down to this ultimate duality. On one hand, you've got heaven, the ultimate reward, the VIP club for a life well lived. It's like winning the cosmic lottery. And on the other hand, hell. Think of it as a never-ending summer camp where it's always way too hot and you've got an eternity to think about all your mistakes. But of course, there are plenty of other theories on the table. Reincarnation gives you a cosmic do-over, another shot at life in a new form. Nirvana is the ultimate escape from that whole cycle, a state of perfect peace. Purgatory is sort of a celestial waiting room, a place to get cleaned up before heading to the main event. And then, there's nothingness. The idea that when the lights go out, they just stay out. The ultimate 404 not found error for your consciousness.
But here's a modern twist. What if we could just hit pause? That's the whole idea behind cryonics. It basically reframes death not as the end, but as a temporary problem that future technology might be able to solve. It's not an ending, just an extended commercial break.
So after this absolute whirlwind tour of our origins, our reality, our potential endings, and what might come next, we're left right back where we started, with the biggest question of all. Are we a biological accident, a divine plan, a computer program, or maybe just one verse in an infinite poem? Honestly, the search for that answer might be the greatest story of all.